For the past 17 years, the Cubs have called Ho-Ho-Com Park their spring training home. The era comes to an end this week, so today let's enjoy the scenery, sunshine, and day baseball from the desert. It is a gorgeous day here in the desert, and the Cubs are just a week away from opening day 2013. It's our CSN debut telecast here for Cubs baseball as they take on the San Francisco Giants in Cactus League action. Hi again, everyone. Len Casper, along with my brand new partner, JD Jim DeShays. And JD, a week to go. It's been a long spring camp. Not too many surprises, but just a couple of spots to be won on the roster.
Club leaves here Thursday for 2 exhibition games in Houston, then opening day 1 week from today. Decisions dwindling now for Dale Swaim. A 1 spot in the bullpen still available, 1 bench spot still available. Looks like Steve Clevenger has the inside track for that job. 3 guys still up for the bullpen position. Rafael Dolis was sent back down to the minor leagues yesterday, so still a little time for these guys to put their best foot forward.
Number 3 starter Travis Wood will go for the Cubs. Ryan Vogelsong, a right-hander, for the Giants. So coming up, we're going to have some fun today as we preview this 2013 Cubs team. Cubs are playing well. They've won 4 in a row as they take on the Giants. Welcome back to Mesa. Cubs wrapping up their stint here at Ho-Ho-Com, and a pretty neat moment. The exchange of the lineup cards, and former Cub great Sean Dunston, and number 90 for the Cubs, that's his son, Sean Jr. It was taken by the Cubs 2 years ago in the 11th round. So Sean Jr. available today, and hopefully we'll get into the game as we check in on the defending champion Giants Southwest starting lineup. Former Cub Angel Pagan will lead it off. Marcos Scuderos at second. Joaquin Arias is at short. Buster Posey, I think, was the MVP of every league in the world last year, including the National League. Cole Gillespie's in left. Andres Torres in right. Todd Linden at first. Nick Noonan at third. And Ryan Vogelsong will bat ninth.
Oh, you're going to have some fun today. Well, the Cubs defensively set up this way this afternoon. Soriano de Jesus, Shearholtz, the former Giant, in the outfield left to right. Lillibridge and Gonzalez in the middle today. The corners, Valbuena and Clevenger. You see Castro and Rizzo with the day off. Deanna Navarro does the catching, and Travis Wood is the starting pitcher. It's brought to you by Lexus. Left-hander Travis Wood having a very good spring, 3-0 with an ERA of 3. He's made 1 start. He's appeared in 4 Cactus League games thus far. Travis 6-13 for the Cubs last year with a .427 earned run average.
So for Travis Wood, this will be his final Cactus League tune-up. He will pitch the third and final game of that series in Pittsburgh next week. Got a nice beard working as he's getting ready to start the season. I talked to him about his hair last year, and I think he let it grow for like a year. Finally shaved it all off, so he's kind of a low-maintenance guy.
The beard is a big deal now. You see a lot of guys rocking the beard. If that's the right terminology. Well, what a guy who's not going to blow you away with an overpowering fastball. He really gets the craft of pitching, though. He commands his fastball well. He's got a cutter, a slider, and a curveball, and a very nice changeup, and he uses to neutralize right-handed hitters. He's more of a fly ball type pitcher.
Switch hitting, Angel Pagan had a great run with Puerto Rico in the WBC. He made the all WBC team, hit .364, and we are underway. That's a cutter from Wood. You'll see that a lot from Travis. Valbuena plays in at third. Everybody else back around the infield. Fastball missed high. 2 balls, no strikes. As you notice on our graphic, there's Cubs manager Dale Swaim. We'll keep the pitch count for you on the screen this year.
Let me out of here.
We're not good at math, so we like that.
Yeah, that's nice. Get up into double digits and we have to add. You're asking for trouble.
Lazy pop up out into shallow right. It's Alberto Gonzalez, the second baseman, to make the catch. Check out the umpires. Ted Barrett will stay behind the plate all day. The other 3 on the bases will rotate: Marquez, Sapphire, and Haspatka. I haven't asked one of the veteran umpires how they determine who shifts to what position. But like everything else in spring training, sometimes it's just random.
Yeah, there's probably not a whole lot of thought that goes into it. Hey, give me a couple innings down at first base.
Marco Scutaro was the NLCS MVP for the Giants. Boy, what a run they had. And they won their second World Series title in the last 3 years. 6 consecutive wins in elimination games over the division and championship series in the NL.
And you see the totals there for Scutaro overall last year, but what did he hit for the Giants? 350, something like that? It was crazy.
2 bouncer to Valbuena. That was one of the best pickups mid-season in the game last year. Marco Scutaro, 2 down.
362 he batted in a Giant uniform last year. 362, my goodness. They basically added Rogers Hornsby.
Here's Joaquin Arias. Brandon Crawford will be the Giants' everyday shortstop. Low for a ball. Mentioned the Cubs are playing their best baseball of the spring. They're at 16-15 overall. They've won 11 of their last 16. And you noted this the other day. They're catching the ball, and that's a nice thing to see.
Yeah, and then, you know, we can talk at length about the merits of spring training statistics and how many games you win and whether it matters once you get into the regular season, and I would argue it matters very little. But it's nice to see the club play well and make all the plays defensively, and I'm sure that's one of the things that has Dale Swaim very excited about the way his club has performed this spring is just how tight they have been defensively.
1-2 on the way in the dirt. That evens it up at 2 apiece.
Wood, a very good athlete. He can swing the bat. Handles everything in his direction out there defensively nicely. Quick worker.
that one took a squirrely hop on Lillibridge. And will probably be a hit.
Yeah, it's had a lot of steam on it. Arias hits it. It's just kind of a difficult position. It hits so hard, it's hard to make a break on the ball. And anytime you see an infielder flat-footed, they're in a very difficult fielding position.
He's charged with an error, so just as we talked about the Cubs catching the ball, they didn't there. And that will give Buster Posey a chance here with 2 outs and a runner on. And a base hit. Well, Posey hitting just .250 this spring. But I think you could make an argument he's the best player in the game right now. I mean, talk about Mike Trout and Miguel Cabrera, Josh Hamilton, but when you put on top of everything else Buster Posey does, he's a catcher. That's pretty special.
Well, yeah, when you compare him to the other catchers in the game, what he brings to the table offensively, as well as being a good solid guy behind the plate, that does bring added value. When you put those kinds of numbers up, playing at a premium position, it's a difference maker.
So 2 on for Cole Gillespie. And a strike on the outside. We'll be back with you Thursday to wrap up the Cactus League schedule. An hour earlier that day, 2 o'clock Central Time, the Cubs and the Mariners here on CSN. Gillespie held 1 ball, 1 strike.
Wasn't a bad looking pitch. I don't think it was low. Must have been just a little bit inside, and didn't get the call on the swing either.
One and 2. Going into the season, Wood will be the lone lefty in the Cubs rotation. Behind Jeff Samardzija and Edwin Jackson, and in front of Scott Feldman and Carlos Villanueva.
There's the changeup from Wood. That's a go-to pitch for him against righties. He likes to crowd him with the cut fastball, try to speed up the bat, and then throw that changeup down and away. It looks to me early here in the first inning, he's been mostly hard stuff fastballs and cut fastballs, trying to establish that before he starts to mix in the softer stuff.
Now he's run at full 3 and 2, so the runners will be off with this pitch. Quick look at Arias. Here he comes. It's low, and all of a sudden the bases are loaded. Looked like it was going to be a quick 1-2-3 inning. But then an error, a single, and a walk, and here comes Andres Torres.
Right fielder, number 56, Andres Torres.
So Torres back with the Giants. He was sent to the Mets for Angel Pagan, and now they're teammates. Torres with the Giants when they won the World Series in 2010. Ball 1. Giants like their switch hitters. Pagan, Torres, Pablo Sandoval. Hector Sanchez is back up.
You know, you got Posey, you got Pence, you got Sandoval, you got a number of core guys you can put in that lineup every day, and then Bruce Bochy has some guys he can mix and match with. It's been a very successful formula for the Giants in recent years. And you catch lightning in a bottle every now and then too, and we talked about that with the Scudero acquisition. You could not have anticipated that kind of production from him when they made the deal. One thing about the Giants, a team over the recent seasons where everybody's really focused on their pitching. Offensively, they were a good club last year. They were 6th in the National League in runs scored in a very difficult run-scoring environment out there in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a difference from years past for sure. This will get Wood out of it. And he'll make the catch on the mound. So that ends the Giants first. They leave them loaded. The Cubs are coming up. As we look at the Cubs Southwest starting lineup, they have hit the second most homers among all teams this spring, 44 so far. De Jesus with a long 11-game hitting streak coming in. Lillibridge, Clevenger, Soriano. Nate Scherholtz, a former Giant, now Cub. Deanna Navarro, the catcher. Luis Valbuena at third. Gonzalez at second. And Travis Wood handles the bat well. He'll hit ninth.
Defensively, the Giants have an outfield of Cole Gillespie, Angel Pagan, Andres Torres. Infield of Nick Don't Call Me Danny Noonan, Arias, Scudero, Linden. Behind the plate, Buster Posey, and the Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher for the Giants is right-hander Ryan Vogelsong. And through 4 spring starts, he's 0-1 with a .93 ERA. 14-game winner for the Giants last year, 13-game winner the season before.
Well, when you look at Ryan Vogelsong as your potential number 5 starter, that's a pretty good rotation. Actually, there are more questions about their 3 starter than their 5. That's Tim Lincecum. More on that as we move along. And a fastball strike on David De Jesus, hitting .500 during a current 11-game hitting streak. Have you seen him hit anything other than a line drive this spring?
No. Everything he hits is on a line. Well, except for that one.
And it'll be caught by Noonan.
Yeah, they can hear it. Did you hear that? You can pick it up in the crowd, Mike. Somebody's down there yelling Noonan at him already.
Miss it. Here comes Lillibridge. Had a rough year offensively last year, but maybe a confidence booster here in spring training. That's the other thing about offense that's hard to quantify here. You tend to throw out the numbers and some of the performances for hitters, but if you're a guy like Brent Lillibridge who had such a rough season with the bat, how about just adding some confidence knowing that you can swing the bat?
Yeah, well, the mental part of the game, right? So you have a tough year, things don't go your way, maybe you don't get as many at bats as you had hoped, and you finish in a bit of a funk, and then all winter, whether you're tweaking your swing or whatever it is you're doing to get ready for the next year, it's nice to come into spring training, have some success, and get some positive feedback for all the work you put in. And of course, the question is, you're going to leave it here in the desert, or you're going to take it with you? And again, with bench guys, the big challenge is just by the nature of the game, the at-bats start to disappear once the regular season starts because the everyday guys are getting all the ABs.
Lillibridge hit .195 with the White Sox, Red Sox, and Indians last year.
And I've had this argument with hitters for years, and they don't buy it. And I always thought that the bench guys, you know, when we used to simulate games, it was for pitchers coming off of injuries. So a pitcher would go out and simulate a couple innings, throw all of his pitches, and the hitters would stand in live against him. And I always thought that was probably more beneficial for the hitters than it was for the pitcher who was working his way back from an injury. And I would always promote that idea to hitters. You guys should, an injured pitcher on his way back, a minor league guy, some guy in town that can throw a little bit. Instead of just throwing BP, come out early and hit off live pitching where you're reacting to breaking balls that you don't know that are coming, and the guys are busting in and out. And no hitter has ever said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Sounds like a good idea. As Lillibridge out on a check swing bouncer to first.
And I will defer to them because they're big league hitters. But it just seemed to me that it made some sense for the bench guys to face some semblance of live pitching from time to time.
Now Steve Clevenger, aside from prospect Javier Baez, Dale pointed out Clevenger's probably been the Cubs' best hitter so far this spring. And I would say going into spring training, it wasn't that he was not on the radar, but I would not have given him a great shot to make the roster. And right now he's in a very good position. Vogelsong barely breaks a sweat in the first. 0-0. Jays, 84 big league wins. Got you in a few different uniforms here. The Minnesota Twins.
It's really bad delivery. But I can move on there.
Oh yeah, called strike 3.
Yeah.
And you're a Cubby now.
It's amazing what get that video montage. You show all the good stuff, how good it can look.
Well, we are delighted to have you with us. And we have more than just strikeouts, I'm sure, that we'll show you as time
You're being
goes
nice
on.
to me now. Yeah, I know how it goes. I'm prepared to take my beating.
Well, we've got a few things to talk about here for people who don't know all the particulars of your career, as Todd Linden leads off. He's playing first today. And low and outside. You started your career as a Yankee. Everybody remembers you as an Astro, but you made 2 starts with the Yankees in 1984. Drafted by them in 82.
I was traded for Joe Niekro in September of 1985. Joe Niekro was an outstanding pitcher for a very long time. Still the Astros all-time winningest pitcher. And when that trade went down, a columnist for the Houston Post wrote that the Astros had traded their heart and soul and got a couple of chest hairs in return. That was my welcome to Houston.
High bouncer to Valbuena. And that's the out. And I would think for you, and I really haven't asked you, we could talk about your personal highlight, but I would think the '86 Astros season probably stands out. Right?
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah, it was my first full year, and we were not expected to be very good. Picked by most to finish 5th in a 6-team division, and we ended up winning the division, lost in a great playoff series to the Mets. And just to be a part of that. And Mike Scott won the Cy Young Award that year. Nolan Ryan was still firing bullets. A good bunch of guys.
Nick Noonan, 1 ball, no strikes. Travis Wood had to battle to get out of that first, but no damage. There's a slicing drive out into deep left, but Soriano was there to make the catch. And 2 gone. Well, September 23rd, '86, you struck out the first 8 men of the game. So what was that about your stuff that day?
I don't know. I think maybe the hitters were just disinterested, to tell you the truth. Kind of at the end of a long year for the Dodgers. But, you know, I'd been hurt. I hadn't been on the DL, but I'd missed a start or 2, so I hadn't pitched in probably 10 or 12 days. So I might have had a little something extra. I might have been rushing it up there about 86 that day. And I just kept throwing it about shoulder high, and they just kept swinging for no apparent reason. And it worked out really well for me.
So in 1986, you strike out the first 8 of a game. The last time that had happened was 1884, when Hall of Famer Mickey Welch of the New York Giants struck out 9 straight to start the game.
Yeah, we don't count that one because it was before the turn of the century, and I believe it was against the Cleveland Spiders.
So yeah, so you have the modern.
Just count that. Yeah.
You have the modern record
in my mind, anyway.
Swing and a miss and a change. And it's 2-2 on Vogelsong.
And really, the whole fun thing about that is the novelty of it, because I wasn't this flamethrower. It's kind of a, you know, and Randy Johnson got 6 one time to start a game. You know, somebody called me, check the box score. Randy Johnson's got 6 in a row. It's, just leave it alone, Randy. You know, you got enough going on. You're going to the Hall of Fame. Just leave it be.
Full count on the pitcher. And he walked him. That was a problem last year. Cubs pitchers walked way too many opposing pitchers. It has not been a big issue this spring. The Cubs starters walking just 5 over their last 38 1/3 innings coming in.
Yeah, it looked like Travis just didn't throw that pitch with a lot of conviction, and sometimes that's what happens. You get 3-2 on the opposing pitcher, and instead of just throwing a good darter in there, you're kind of mad at yourself or putting yourself in this predicament that if I miss, I walk the guy, and you know, negative thoughts start to creep in a little bit, and you just don't make a good pitch.
Pagan out in front with no play for Navarro.
It's amazing the thoughts that will run through a pitcher's head in any given situation, and if you let the negative stuff creep in, it really messes you up. You have to find a way to really simplify the game and just one pitch, execute one pitch at a time.
One ball, one strike. Well, I guess 0-2. He went around. Like he did.
50-50.
Huge lead for Vogelsong. Pagan stays alive. When you can literally fall down and hit the bag with your belt, that's not a very big lead.
Clevenger is playing in front of the bag and off the line a little bit. And normally in this situation, you'd play behind him. But because Pagan can run a little bit as a good bunter, you have to respect that. So he's not playing in really to hold Vogelsong as much as he is respecting the ability of Pagan to push a bunt. Otherwise, you just back up, play behind the pitcher because you know he's not going to run, and just defend the field.
Cub fans will remember Angel Pagan hit his first 2 career homers in the same game against the White Sox. And both came on his birthday. There's a little floater that's going to drop in. Well placed by Pagan. Just a carbon copy of the first. Wood gets the first 2 hitters, and with 2 outs, the rally started.
And Wood will get a lot of balls like this because of his cutter. The hitter takes a big swing, and the late movement runs in off the barrel in towards the hands and induces the weak contact. But when you work up with a cutter, a lot of the weak contact are little pop-ups like that, as opposed to a weak ground ball that you might get with a sinker.
Strike called on Scudero. You mentioned their offense last year, 6th in the league in runs. They finished last in the majors with 103 homers. So they became the 7th team since 1900 to win the World Series after pulling up the rear in home runs in the majors. Doesn't happen that often.
I don't know if you have it up there, but I know we were in there with the Astros in June. I think it was June, and at that time, I think they'd hit less than 10 home runs at home, the entire season up to that point in their own ballpark.
They found other ways. They hit 31 home runs at home all year last year. Well, Angel Pagan had 15 triples. That's one way around it.
Yeah, it's not like they don't have hitters with pop. It's just a big ballpark that really suppresses offense.
So the Giants as a team hit 31 homers at home last year. Miguel Cabrera hit 28 himself at home in Detroit. That's obscene.
And that's a big ballpark, too.
Yeah,
it's not like he's playing in a bandbox.
Big crowd here in Mesa today. Spring break for many back home, and they've all decided to come here. It's great to see everybody. Called strike 3 as Scudero's out, and that's the first punch out for Travis Wood. Still scoreless early. Come join NBC5 meteorologist Cheryl Scott at the ballpark Thursday, April 18th for a special presentation on the impact weather has on baseball. This program geared for students will take place shortly before the gates open at 11:20 a.m. A weather activity booklet will be included with your ticket purchase. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com/special events. Weather always a factor at Wrigley Field. We know that. And we have been blessed with great weather throughout this spring. Cubs with only one rainout, and that was early on in March. Everything else has been pretty much like today.
Yeah, just great weather to get your work into, not just the games, but all the pregame activity and before the game started. The
leading off.
The on-field time. The stretch there was pretty hot, but for the most part, it's been pretty comfortable.
Cubs are slugging this spring. Alfonso has 4 homers, went deep off Bruce Chen earlier this spring. Looks like his legs are in good shape. We've seen him make some nice catches out and left as he tries to follow up what was a very good, maybe his best all-around season as a Cub last year. And he takes a strike. Ground, and Arias with a spin move. A nice dig at the other end by Linden.
So 4 up, 4 down so far for Ryan Vogelsong in this game. Travis Wood has kind of had a hard time with his command. He's had a lot of base runners, but clean so far for Vogelsong. And a nice play here by Arias. And some nice range, good accurate throw after the spin.
Now the former Giant Nate Scherholtz will look at a ring, even though he didn't finish the year with the Giants last year. He was with them in 2010 when they won their first one. High for ball 1. Guy stole your hat.
You don't want one of those? Not everybody had one of those.
Feathered in there, 1-1.
Vogelsong's a 4-pitch pitcher. Fastball, curveball, cut fastball, and a changeup.
What a great story. He came up with the Giants a long time ago. There's a little soft liner. It's cradled by Noonan. 2 outs. And then Vogelsong was kind of off the map. He ended up pitching in Japan 2007 through 09. Signed a minor league contract with the Giants prior to 2011. Became an all-star that year. And then last year, another terrific year. In October, 3-0 with a 1.09 in the postseason.
Yeah, it really has been an amazing baseball odyssey for Vogelsong, a guy who at one time was a hot prospect, then fizzled and spent some time with the Pirates. And as you mentioned, on to Japan he went. The year he was with the Giants in 2011, he did not make the ball club initially. He was called up in April when Barry Zito got hurt. And just took off from there.
His last 2 years, really, if you look at the first 6 years of his career, he wasn't very good. And then you look at the last 2 seasons with the Giants, and he's been really among the elite in the National League. Now, pitching in San Francisco doesn't hurt, but this is one of those guys, you look at how it's happened and how hard he's worked. He's one of those guys you root for, except for today against the Cubs, but really neat story. I know you were looking at Todd Linden's bio. He's a name we saw in the lineup today, and I was thinking, well, where did Todd Linden go? As you mentioned, he was a former first-round pick.
In Japan, yeah, and those are fun stories to find these guys, and I always marvel at the first-round pick guys, the high-profile guys, when they come out of high school or college, that great things are expected of them. They never really are able to establish themselves in the big leagues, but love of the game, man. They hang in there and then play 7, 8, 9 years of AAA ball.
Called strike 3. So Deanna Navarro out on strikes. Vogelsong cruising early in a scoreless tie.
Tonight, the Blackhawks are back on home ice against last year's Stanley Cup champs. Tune in as Jonathan Taves and the Hawks look to take down the Kings at the Madhouse. Don't miss Blackhawks Kings tonight at 6:30 on Comcast Sports Net.
A few days off, believe it or not. Back in action tonight. Giants and Cubs here in Mesa.
How long was that streak the Hawks had?
Went 23 or 24 before they suffered their first regulation loss. Basically half the season. Joaquin Arias chased for strike one. Well, Travis Wood over the first 2 innings has started strong, but then has given up some base runners, 5 with 2 outs over those first 2 innings, but eventually able to get out of it.
Yeah, the Giants are winning the battle in terms of time of possession, but they have not crossed home plate yet, so we remain scoreless. They've not been very good in the red zone.
Hit foul out of play.
And for a starting pitcher, sometimes that's all you need, right? You know, most guys are a little vulnerable when they come out of the bullpen to start the game. You haven't got locked in yet with your release point. So many times you see it, a starting pitcher get knocked around in the early innings and then settle in. And if you can get through those bumpy at-bats in the first inning or two where you don't have your command, if you can end up pitching scoreless baseball or hold the other club down for just a run, then you have a chance to have a good game.
A little bounce into center for a leadoff single.
Harris reached on an error first time. This time right back up the middle he goes. Fights off a cut fastball that was moving in on him. Up in the zone, but able to get on top of it and hit it with some authority up the middle.
Here's Posey. He singled his first time. Posey won the batting title last year. .336 was the MVP and the comeback player of the year, and then of course his team won the World Series. That's a pretty good year. First National League catcher to win the batting title since Ernie Lombardi of the Boston Braves back in 1942. Joe Mauer the last in the American League in 09. It's off the end of the bat, foul.
Ernie Lombardi may have won a couple batting titles. I'm not sure. But he was a notoriously slow runner, so he never got any infield hits.
Now the guy who really won the batting title took himself out of the mix. That was Melky Cabrera, his teammate, who had .346. A little drop by Valbuena. They'll get one, and not much of a chance for a double play. Cabrera suspended for that positive PED test and ultimately was eliminated from contention.
Just don't panic. Make sure you get an out. Valbuena does. No real need to make that turn. Unless the guy going down the line blows out a hamstring. Normally, your baseball clock, if you're a middle infielder on a turn like that, you'll kind of know that you really don't have a legitimate shot. Yeah, I'm not so sure that Melky should have been. I appreciate what he did because of the suspension and the fact that his teammate was going to be the guy that ultimately won the award. But I'm not sure that it's the player's call.
Yeah, everybody agreed, the union and MLB, and essentially he was one plate appearance short of qualifying. But if you add that extra 0 for 1, he still would have won.
And that's how they compute the final batting average in situations like that, say if there were an injury.
I kind of feel like it's erasing history in a way. Big swing by Gillespie. 1-2. Now, the Giants had a chance to bring Cabrera back when his suspension ran out during the playoffs, and they chose not to. And I don't think it was met with much controversy from anybody, and that's going to get over Sherholtz for Gillespie. Posey headed toward third. Tim Flannery's going to stop him at first. Flannery was going to send him, but then decided to put up the stop sign. That's a double for Cole Gillespie.
A ringing double. This ball exploded off of his bat again. It's a high cut fastball, not quite in far enough. And you see how he kind of opens up, clears the hips, and then throws the barrel at that ball, driving it to right field. You get a good look here from behind home plate. Good off-field stroke. Sherholtz first broke across and then had to retreat, fooled a little bit by how hard that ball was hit. And I'm guessing regular season, Tim Flannery does send Posey ultimately on that ball.
Inside to Torres. So more base runners for the Giants, this time though with only one out. Clevenger in at first, everybody else back. And now 2-0. Last spring, when Wood entered his first year with the Cubs, it really looked like he was pressing and had a terrible spring. Ended up starting at AAA Iowa. Much more relaxed this time around. The numbers have been a lot better.
And I think sometimes, too, when you're new to a team, you're hesitant to impose your will. Like on a catcher, if you have a certain way you want to go about things and you're new to a team and they're talking about pitching guys certain ways, or a catcher has an idea of how you might try to get somebody out. Maybe as a young guy, you yield to that a little bit, and the longer you've been around, the more you're comfortable enough to say, no, this is what I want to do here. Let's attack with this.
That's going to score a couple. Posey in and Gillespie right behind him, and Andres Torres with a 2-run double.
Yeah, it's just a matter of being a little bit too up in the zone, and he can pitch up in the zone with that cutter if he gets far enough in on the hands. But it looks to me like the Giant hitters are kind of looking in. They're looking for that cut fastball. These right-handed hitters moving in on them, and they've been able to put some good swings on them.
So 3 hits in the inning, including 2 doubles. And Linden takes a strike.
Not a bad plan B to go to a little softer backdoor breaking ball. Just kind of flip one in there for strike one.
That one's high.
I was talking with Tom Browning the other night, and Tom works with the Cincinnati Reds, and he was with Wood a little bit with the Reds. Wood came up through their organization, and he thought Travis maybe lost a little bit of velocity on his heater when he started throwing so many cutters. Kind of sacrificed a little pop on his fastball and trying to cut the ball.
Well, Tom Browning, a lefty, and he went to Lemoyne College, so you guys are going to get along.
Yeah, we were.
It's a no-brainer.
Tommy and I were high school rivals, college teammates, and professional contemporaries. And Cub fans may remember Browning as being the guy that went out in uniform with the Reds and sat on one of the rooftops in the middle of a ball game.
That gets by Navarro and will allow Torres to advance.
DeHonor just a little sloppy technique-wise there, trying to backhand this ball as opposed to just sliding out and squaring up in front of it with his chest protector, trying to pick it. Catchers usually run into trouble when they do that.
By the way, coming up in the bottom of this inning, we'll chat with Cubs Executive Vice President and General Manager Jed Hoyer. Get his thoughts on the roster that is going to be down to 25 by week's end.
The red ball.
3-2 the count. Well, this has just been a grinder today, hasn't it?
Yeah, this is a battle.
At the end of the bat, coming on to Jesus. Here comes the throw. And Torres will score standing. Sac fly for Linden. And it's 3-0.
Change up, hit off the end of the bat. Soft into shallow center field. De Jesus makes a nice play on it. Not able to get enough on the throw.
Pitch to Noonan is high for a ball. Well, it hasn't been all the Giants regulars today, but we talked earlier about the fact they didn't hit a lot of homers but found ways to score last year. Well, they lead 3-0 without a home run today.
Noonan was the 32nd pick overall in the 2007 draft, a sandwich pick between the first and second rounds. After a stellar career as a caddy at Bushwood. He's probably so tired of hearing the Noonan nonsense.
Well, the good thing is he isn't listening right now. Shallow left. It'll be Lillibridge to end the inning. The Giants put up a 3 spot. It's 3-0. Welcome back to Mesa. Great to have with us Cubs Executive Vice President General Manager Jed Hoyer. Well, we've been here about 5 months, it feels like. It's been a long spring, but I'll tell you, 1 week from today, believe it or not, is opening day.
I know this is the longest spring. I mean, everyone talks about it. You know, the WBC, we got here so early, so it does feel like we've been here forever. But I think we're all excited. You can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, this one and 3 more spring training games. You know, head to a major league park in Houston and then head to Pittsburgh. So it's nice to be able to talk about that this week as opposed to 10 days out, 2 weeks out, and certainly at the beginning we're 5 or 6 weeks out. So this is great.
It's kind of fun when the storyline changes, right, to what the real games are about to start, and you kind of sense it in the clubhouse and around the team. The energy picks up.
Yeah, I don't know how the players feel about it, but I can say that from our standpoint, you just want to watch games that matter. You know that right now, I feel like you go home every night. You're happy if there's no injuries, and you're unhappy if there were any. And the most important conversation I have all day is with the trainers. And once the season starts, that's not your focus anymore. You're focused on wins and losses, and you get the focus out of the training room, get the focus away from just the young players you're excited to see, and just focus on the wins and losses, which is the right thing to focus on.
So every week's busy for you, but I would think this is particularly busy. I mean, I look online between innings and I see this guy got released, this guy got signed. Last year, and we just saw Luis Valbuena line out, he wasn't a Cub until basically opening day. So a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, and as you get later in the week, it gets even more busy because teams really, Wednesday, teams need to make some final decisions on waivers to put guys on. The focus on the opening day roster starts, but there's actually a lot of teams that will wait until the weekend, designate a guy for assignment, and that way they'll push his window into opening day, or past opening day, hoping that teams won't claim him because now you're into your season. So people play a lot of games to avoid it, and it's always important to try to stay flexible so that you can do that. We had a nightmare scenario, I remember, in Boston that we always regret. The Rangers did that with Nelson Cruz. He was on waivers like the first or second day of the season, and we were in a box. We wanted to claim him. We just didn't have any way to claim him because of our roster setup. And it would have been nice if we had claimed him. So he's
Nelson Cruz.
You couldn't pull that apple off the tree. It was just sitting there for you.
Yeah, so I think it's always important to stay flexible. So if there is a guy available the first or second day of the season, you can do it if you want to.
This is Alberto Gonzalez. Let's get a quick injury update. Setback for Scott Baker, so it sounds like he won't throw for another month. Matt Garza progressing well, and as Gonzalez pops it up. And also Ian Stewart, Jed.
Yeah, so Matt feels really good. He's chomping at the bit to get going. All the reports on his throwing have been excellent. So things are on schedule with him. It's really disappointing because the arm feels good. He threw great. In bullpens and live BPs, and then he hurt his oblique. So he's come along really well. Baker, we did have a setback, and we're excited about the news we got from the doctors. That has nothing to do with his Tommy John and the ligament. It was muscular, so he'll have to rest it. I know he's disappointed, but that's the breaks when you have Tommy John. Sometimes your rehab hits a speed bump. So hopefully he'll rest for 4 or 5 weeks and then crank it up again, and hopefully he can be a big part of our team when we get to summer. And then Ian had some fluid drained from his leg, which doesn't sound all that appealing. And he's just had a tough time coming back from this quad pull. Sometimes when you pull your quad, a pocket of fluid develops in the muscle. We had to drain that, and that kind of starts the process over. But we're hoping he's hitting now. We're hoping that he'll be able to get into minor league games down here soon and get back with us. And it's really disappointing for us that he hasn't been on the field this spring. He got his wrist repaired.
See, Gonzalez will hold with a single. See, Theo just called the play-by-play last week, so you feel free if you want to jump in.
There,
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's right. So anyway, he had his wrist repaired. I think he was excited to get going, and this quad thing has set him back. So it's been a disappointing spring for Ian, for him, and for us, but hopefully he'll get going here soon. And it's nice to see him swinging the bat again.
We had a conversation the other day, speaking of injuries, talking about how hard as a player, do you push it during the exhibition season? Obviously, you want to play the game with a certain amount of intensity, but do you guys talk to Dale? Do you talk to the players about how you want them to play the game with mindset of staying on the field? Does that come up?
Yeah, I think you've got to play. I mean, you almost have to play the game all out. If you don't play all out, I think that's when you tend to get hurt. But I think that's where Dale does a really good job of getting these guys playing full games or near full games at the end of spring, but. With this long spring, I think he did a great job of resting guys, making sure guys had enough days off. And really, I feel like we come down here to Arizona, and it's really for the pitchers. The hitters can get ready pretty quickly. They probably want their 45, 50 at-bats, and they're ready. I feel like for pitchers, they got to build up. And so for the hitters, once a guy feels good, I think the last hurdle for him is the attention span of the 9-inning game. And I think that's one thing that's really hard for us, even for me, is, you know, guys are playing 3, 4, 5 innings, is like, you know, getting that full attention span of the 9 innings. That's not something we all have during spring training.
Oh, gosh, no.
You're building up, right?
Oh, man. They did what? Who scored? What happened?
We had on opening day against the Angels on February 23rd. At the end of the game, the Angels had number 79 at second and number 79 at first. So that's how we started. Going, I have no idea who's playing first base right now. But
that's a struggle for the announcer right there.
A little bit.
No question.
A little bit.
So you talked about the waiver wire and the challenges that come with it. So I mean, is the phone ringing off the hook at this time of year, because guys trying to make deals before they have to expose guys to waivers, looking to get a piece back?
A lot of emails, a lot of text messages. You know, this guy's available. You know, they kind of usually mention the compensation. You know, want a non-roster player in return, and if you have interest in that player, you can start it up. But it's amazing how much text messaging and email has changed the way we all communicate. You know, because you can send out a text to 30 GMs and, you know, wait for the response.
Well, the Cubs get a break. The Sun helping them get their first run as Pagan just whiffed.
Yeah, that's when you know it's hard to play outfield in Arizona, when a good center fielder like Pagan just whiffs on a ball.
I think the Sun has been, you know, obviously it's a month later, but it's been a lot worse here the last week. Teams have really had trouble.
And a cloud in the sky. And Pagan kind of looking over in Torres' direction as if to say, can you see it?
I guess that's one of the nice things about going back to Chicago, right? It's cloudy.
Yeah.
Don't have that problem.
So they're on the board. I believe they gave him an error. You know, it's hard to catch a ball you can't see. Here's Lillibridge. Tell you, I don't know how much Brent will hit, but defensively, Jed, he looks to be above average at just about every spot.
Yeah, he's really versatile, and you know, he had a little setback early with the leg pull, but he's been excellent since he came back, and he's probably been our best hitter. And you know, we're excited to have him. I think he can do a lot of different things for us, and that kind of player is a manager's dream.
Jed, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate it. And here we go. Opening day a week away. Thanks.
See you guys up north.
You got it. That's Jed Hoyer. A ticket plan for every fan. The 9- and 6-game packs offer you the chance to secure seats for the biggest games of the season with the flexibility of choosing the games you'd like to see. For more info, visit Cubs.com/packs. And a reminder, there are still tickets available for opening day, April 8th versus the Milwaukee Brewers. That's 2 weeks from today, as the Cubs open up Wrigley Field for 2013. Thanks to Jed Hoyer for joining us. And by the way, David DeJesus was credited with an RBI single on that Sun-aided hit with a 12-game hitting streak.
That's when you start the conversation pleading for the team error. Right? You don't want to hang an error on the guy who couldn't see the ball, but you hate to pin an earned run on the pitcher when a ball's popped up like that.
Yeah, I think that
there's the last couple of years there were some discussions about doing that, and boy, he walked Vogelsong again. That's the old pink elephant walk right there. Whatever you do, don't think of pink elephants. First thing into your mind, pink elephant. Whatever you do, don't walk the pitcher.
Yeah, the team error is a no-brainer, I think, on that exact play, or the pop-up where the two guys look at each other and it drops. I think of the Cosma Holiday mishap, even though it was an infield fly rule play. Something like that should be a team error. How about the catcher throws one right on the bag at second and nobody covers? The catcher gets the error. But I think that's a team error. One day.
Yeah. There's just there's an unfairness to it all, and I guess that's a metaphor for life. The outfielder was trying to throw a guy out at the plate, and he throws a rocket in from right field, and it's kind of an in-between hop, and the catcher can't handle it, and so the right fielder gets charged with an error if the back runner advances.
One and one on Pagan. Parlayed his 2012 season into a nice contract. Vogelsong will move up.
Well, we talk so often about, when a pitcher is sharp and throwing a lot of strikes, the defense behind him tends to be crisper. And conversely, when a pitcher's having a hard time finding the zone and he's working deep counts and there's a lot of base runners and long at-bats, play around him tends to suffer. And we've seen a little bit of shaky play. And Navarro's had a problem with a couple of balls now that he probably should have blocked.
A 2-1. Hit well off the end of the bat. And on the track, it's caught by Soriano. Vogelsong will hold. Not a great throw back to the infield. The only reason that wasn't a home run is because he didn't hit the sweet spot. It had good carry on it.
You see Wood with 79 pitches now, but just a few more strikes than balls. You can get away with that some days, but more times than not, it's going to come back to bite you.
Ball one on Scudero. Well, we alluded to some interesting moves here in the last 24 hours with Jed Hoyer. Vernon Wells reportedly on his way to the Yankees from the Angels.
Read a note yesterday, and I believe with Jeter likely to start on the DL, or maybe they've already made that announcement, some $90 million worth of payroll on the DL to start the season for the Yankees.
Teixeira, A-Rod,
Granderson.
John Garland gets a major league contract with the Rockies. Wasn't going to make the Mariners rotation. He had signed a minor league deal with them, but pitched well. So he's now with the Rockies.
That's one of those situations where if you're Garland, you call your agent back and you sure you can't get somewhere other than Colorado for me to pitch? I mean, I was hoping to be able to pitch out here in Seattle in one of the best pitcher's parks in baseball, and now I'm going to Denver.
Well, I guess the answer from the agent is it's either Coors Field or AAA. You pick.
Yeah. At that point, it becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah. Changeup missed low and outside. It's now a full count, 3-2, and the latest rumored deal between Kyle Loesch and the Milwaukee Brewers.
3 years, $30 million is what I was reading earlier.
So that would be a nice addition to the Brewers rotation. I would think he would jump right into that number 2 spot. right behind Giovanni Gallardo. Bounce back to Travis Wood, who fields his position well, and he gets Scudero for the second out.
Yeah, Loesch has been working out. He's been throwing simulated games against high school or college players. It will be interesting to see how soon he's able to answer the bell.
Arias has reached down an error and a single.
But that means by signing Loesch, then the Brewers lose their first-round draft pick.
Correct. That's why it scared a lot of teams. Base hit. Vogelsong, however, will have to hold with 2 outs. And at third.
Arias, he's the man of the match so far for the Giants. Reached on an error, but hit the ball hard first time up. Now back-to-back singles. One last inning again here in the fourth. Providing an RBI opportunity for Buster Posey.
Another interesting note I saw is reportedly the WBC is going to pick up players' salaries. That is, guys who get hurt in the World Baseball Classic. So Hanley Ramirez, for instance, if he misses 2 months, the Dodgers would be reimbursed.
Really? So
that makes a lot of sense.
When you say WBC, this is they have their own funding mechanism?
They must.
Or I guess they're going to from now on, maybe.
Right. I guess what's counterintuitive in a way about that story is it makes too much sense. And usually things that make sense don't happen. Two balls and a strike on Buster Posey. He won't catch every day. Play some first base. Right field, Sherholtz with a long run, and it's going to drop and bounce out of play for a double. So that'll save 1 run. Vogelsong scores. Arias has to hold at third.
I don't think Buster Posey's overly proud of this one. Just a little flare, but perfectly placed right down the right field line. I guess that's the beauty of a guy like Posey, whose bat stays in the zone as long as it does. Make a lot of contact, good things happen. And that pink elephant walk comes back to bite Wood.
So now 4-1, and it's Gillespie who's walked, doubled, and scored.
And this is where you really make your money in the regular season as a pitcher. You know, anybody can go out there when they're on their A game and post a bunch of zeros, but when you're struggling, getting hit around a little bit, you know, this is still a game that the Cubs could come back and win, but it becomes much more less so if these 2 runs score. So you have to, even though things aren't going your way, you got to really compete, stay tough-minded, not give in.
So this WBC story originally reported by Buster Olney and Craig Calcaterra from NBCSports.com. Rating today. In other news, the Yankees have retroactively sent A-Rod to the WBC where he was totally injured by a tire iron to the knee. Oh.
And clubs will be looking at all their fragile players and offering them up for the WBC in future springs.
.30 pitch right down the middle. Now back to Buster Posey, and talk about the value you get. A catcher hitting .336 last year to win the batting title. And these questions have come up with Joe Mauer over the years. If and when you move Buster Posey to first base or some other position permanently, can he catch an entire 15, 17, 18-year career and be as effective offensively? As Gillespie walks, and that'll bring Chris Bosio to the mound.
Yeah, and I guess it just depends on the player's health, right? How do the knees hold up? Is it affecting his swing? You know, most catchers, you see the wear and tear towards the end of a long season anyway. Guys that play as much as Posey does, he gets a break, and then he plays his home games out there in a very comfortable climate in San Francisco, so he's not subjected day in and day out to the extreme heats that you get in some ballparks. But yeah, at some point in his career, right? As long as he'll transition to third base, first base.
29 starts at first last year, 111 behind the plate.
And the fact that he can play a little first base, that's the beauty. You can save his legs a little bit, but keep his bat in the lineup. Ted Simmons, he's a great example. Simba was a great hitting catcher, and ultimately made the move out from behind the plate.
So the bases are loaded, already a run in. And Torres takes ball one. He knocked in two with a double in the third inning. The Cubs wanted more innings out of Travis Wood than they will probably get today because of a pitch count that's nearing 100. This will be number 98 on the day. 2-0.
Got to make a pitch here.
Here's the 2-0. And Wood able to get out of it. As he gets Torres to pop out to second. They get one, they leave him loaded. 4-1 San Francisco. Favorite post-game destination for a great burger, Harry Carey's Tavern, Navy Pier. While you're there, check out the Chicago Sports Museum inside the restaurant. For reservations, visit harrycareystavern.com or call 773-HOLY-COW. Cubs will open their new spring training facility here in Mesa next spring. We've had a wonderful time here at Ho-Ho-Com. 17th and final year here in this nice facility. The Oakland A's will move in 2015. Steve Clevenger will lead off. You see the difference. Ryan Vogelsong threw 3 with just 32 pitches. Travis Wood almost 100 through 4.
Who's yelling?
I'm trying to figure that
Beer
out.
vendor? Vogelsong's fastball command has been very good today. Hasn't walked anybody.
Line into center.
Love his swing, boy. A real nice swing. Gets that front foot down. Everything else stays pretty quiet, and then the hands come flying through the zone.
Things got away from Steve after he came off the DL last year and just struggled making adjustments. Had a long talk with his manager about it. And I think ultimately the struggles he had last year have helped him this year. You start to see a little bit of a pattern as that one almost clipped Soriano. You know, Anthony Rizzo has all this success in the minors, comes up and has a terrible time in his first call up with the Padres, retools his swing completely, and now is the Cubs' everyday first baseman. Brett Jackson kind of going through that process right now. You know, a lot of these guys don't struggle in the minor leagues. The first time they ever really have to do a lot of soul searching is at this level. It's caught by Arias.
And there's, you know,
it's eye-opening.
2 things going on. One, obviously the level of competition is greater, and then there's just everything that goes with it. You know, Rick Stelmazik, who was a coach for the Twins back in the day, he used to call it third deck syndrome. You know, you get out of the minor leagues, and spring training kind of feels like the minor leagues to a certain extent. You get into the bigger ballparks, and with all the buzz and everything that goes around Major League Baseball, players' head starts to spin a little bit. There's a whole lot going on off the field, a lot more pressure, a lot more scrutiny. And if you don't get off to a good start, then it just starts to snowball on you. You're thinking, with every at-bat, if I don't get a knock here, they're going to send me out. So instead of just taking your regular approach, you start pressing a little bit. Same thing for a pitcher. You know, if I don't pitch well today, they're going to send me down. Now you start trying to do things you're not used to doing, and it blows up on you.
One strike on Scherholtz.
Think of it as if you're a golfer and you had your regular Saturday morning match with the boys, and just the regular course you normally play, and everything feels comfortable, and you go out and you play your game. All right, now you show up that Saturday morning, and Tiger's in your foursome, and Tom Watson, and you know your game's probably going to suffer a little bit. It's a different environment.
Fouled off by Scherholtz. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, what's the old adage? It's harder to stay here than to get here, and it's really hard to get here. But you have to work even harder to stay here.
Yeah, because you're beating minor league competition and showing what you can do at that level to get here, and then once you're here, now you've got to deal with all the extraneous stuff, plus face some of the best competition in the world.
Called strike 3. That's out number 2. 2 Ks for Vogelsong, both of the looking variety.
Vogelsong gets the best of his former teammate here, Scherholtz. Probably thought that ball was a little high.
Well, he's been extremely efficient here early. His other strikeout came against Navarro. That was in the 2nd. Swing and a miss. What's DeHonor got going here with his helmet? Did he drop it in a cement truck?
I don't know. To get a little duct tape or something? No. I don't know what that is.
Maybe a construction crew borrowed it for the day. As he pulls one into right, Clevenger holds it 2nd. Well, as long as you hit whatever,
whatever you want. You know, he's a lunchbox kind of guy. blue-collar ball player. He got a little crack in his helmet. You don't need a new helmet. You just put a little spackle on there. Paint it after the game. Cubs with a little something going now. 2 on, 2 out for Valbuena.
He lined to right his first time up. Slated to hit 7th when the season opens on Monday in Pittsburgh.
So, you know, just a lazy day at the ballpark for so many, but, you know, it's interesting to watch in a situation like this, all the things people are focusing on. Obviously, Dale's keeping an eye on his hitter. David Bell's watching his base runners. Dave McKay's got Navarro down there at first base. I just missed him. But it's, you know, the coaches are always looking for the little stuff. What kind of secondary lead is my guy getting? You know, you don't want those little details to be looked over. Certainly not in the regular season, so you want to do it in spring training as well. Play the whole game. Take every advantage you can get.
Great to have David Bell as part of this coaching staff, and he's excited not only to be with the Cubs, but his dad, Buddy, works with the White Sox. So a little family reunion in Chicago. And now Posey and Vogelsong will get together. And for our viewers who weren't with us earlier this spring, you know, one thing that you and I see every time we come here to Mesa, 9:30, 9:45 after the team meeting, Dave McKay and David Bell are on the field breaking down base running, talking about baseball, basically. They're gym rats. And you love to see that.
Yeah, breaking down every little part of the game, right? Like, you know, pitchers' moves, fundamental plays, bunt defenses, who covers what possible scenarios could come up in a game that maybe we tweak the way we've done it. I mean, baseball's been played a long time now, so, you know, it's very difficult to come up with, you know, grand new ideas, but sometimes just a little something different. You know, the story was out the other day on Theo, and they were talking about the Cubs way, the manual that they've put together, and how they spent, I don't know, a couple hours debating whether you should hit first base with your right foot or your left foot so you're better positioned to make the turn. That's the kind of stuff that guys like Bell and McKay grind on.
1-2 is outside on a change. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Working a little harder here in the 4th now is Vogelsong. Very clean through the first 2 innings. No base runners.
Luis not happy that he went after a pitch out of the strike zone, but those are tough to lay off. High.
They look so good coming out of the hand.
Two on, 2 down, and a 2-2 pitch. It's full 3-2.
Now this is where, as a hitter, you have to maintain that discipline, right? If you chase that one high ball, now you've worked the count full. Base runners are going to be on the move. There's a tendency to get a little jumpy for some hitters. Have to make sure you get a pitch in the zone.
No problem.
And he takes it to load the bases. It's the first walk the Cubs have taken today.
Good job. Nice patient approach there by Valbuena after chasing that high fastball.
Second baseman, number 6, Alberto Gonzalez.
So here's Gonzalez with the bags full and 2 outs. Cubs trailing by 3. Looks like Travis Wood is done for the day as Starlin Castro's on deck in a possible pinch hitting role. Something you would never see in early March. A regular player getting a pinch hit at bat in the middle of a game, but we're only a week away now. I think one of the reasons why you wouldn't see it early in spring training is because Ryan Vogelsong probably would already be done. A chance possibly for Castro to face a major league starter. There are your base runners. 1-1 on Gonzalez. Nice stop by Noonan and the out. Well, Noonan did not miss that one. Excellent defensive play to get Vogelsong out of the inning, and it's still 4-1 Giants.
We admit it.
It's time for a nationwide Patrick Mooney insider hit, and since it's got Patrick Mooney in the title, we thought we would bring Patrick into the booth. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. We were talking with Jed Hoyer a little bit earlier, and he seemed to echo the sentiments that we're getting to the point where everybody's ready for these games to start counting.
Exactly. With the WBC and kind of as nice as it is to be down here, I think everyone's ready for games that actually matter. I think that includes Dale and pretty much everyone in that room.
Talking about Steve Clevenger today, if the Cubs don't make some sort of move and bring a player in from outside the organization, it seems pretty clear based on what Dale has said that Clevenger's going to make it, don't you think?
Yeah, I think Dale's liked Clevenger for a long time. Obviously, he made the team out of camp last year. I think they're going to keep looking at that waiver wire all the way up until maybe Saturday. But clearly it's his job until they find someone better out there.
Linden will lead off against right-hander Blake Parker. Parker was with the Cubs earlier this spring, brought over today from minor league camp. 4-1 Giants here in the fifth. Let's get a look at Blake Parker, who had some elbow problems last year, but has been very good this spring.
Yeah, I say. ERA of 0 for 5 1/3 innings, 1 walk. He's punched out 6, had a cup of coffee with the big club last year. He's worked his way up through the Cub organization.
So any surprises from your standpoint in terms of the injured guys? The answers have come back no. Baker, Stewart, and Garza will all start the year on the DL, but not a lot of other surprises on the roster.
Yeah, it's really been a pretty quiet camp. It seems like they led the league in MRIs there for a while, and other than that, there's been, I think a lot of it has to do with Dale's personality, but it's been pretty flat line, calm, no tomfoolery, nothing like that. We've seen that couple of years ago, but it's pretty much picked up right where Dale left off last year.
And you asked Dale that very question about, year 2 and just kind of setting the tone for this camp, and it has been pretty drama-free.
Yeah, I mean, you know how Dale is. Basically, win or lose, he's pretty much the same guy after the game. You can't really tell walking into his office, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Theo and Jed hired him.
Softball game may break out.
Yeah. Any, what's your take, what's your opinion as to the final spot in the bullpen?
I think you probably go with Corey Wade. I think he's done it before with the Yankees in the AL East. He had a nice season with the Dodgers a couple of years ago. I think the one X factor could be if they find a Sean Kemp like what they did last year. I think that was late March. The Mariners released him, and all of a sudden Dale thought he was the first half MVP.
And Dale also added this year, as valuable as Camp is, he hopes a middle reliever's not the MVP this year.
Right.
Here's Noonan outside. Nice defensive play to end the Cubs' 4th. Enjoyed your piece on CSNChicago.com as you caught up with Theo Epstein and his thoughts on what this Cub thing is all about.
Yeah, it's funny, he's we're here in year 2 of the rebuild, and certainly I don't think he came here to build a team in Rosemont. And I think kind of what the Cubs are concerned with is kind of looking at this opening day deadline of kind of getting Wrigley lined up, because the first phase would be stuff that would impact the major league team, that new clubhouse, training facility, all that stuff. So I think it will be kind of an interesting week to see how all that plays out.
Well, and the other thing too, Patrick, as you know, is things can happen quickly. All of a sudden it looks like, well, this is going to take a while, but once a decision's made and once something happens, we tend to forget all the drama that came before it, right?
I think he said it was we'll all look back on this years from now as kind of a crazy way to get to I think he said a very good place.
Right. So. And he's always a good quote, isn't he? He always gives you something to think about.
He is.
I might get a T-shirt made out of the line of baseball is best analyzed from 10,000 feet, but best enjoyed from the front row. That one is thumped, and it'll be extra bases for Noonan. He's going to stop at second with a double.
Well, Noonan with a nice play to end the last half, and now delivers a double. He was thinking 3. He went hard all the way to second base before dropping anchor.
So a 1-out double, and now Vogelsong, who has walked both times against Travis Wood. And Travis just didn't have it today. He had been really good this spring, and this last outing, sometimes you might be looking ahead. He'll just try to forget about it, but overall, Patrick, you saw last year Travis Wood had a bad spring training and didn't make the club, but almost looks like a different pitcher this year. They get him.
Yeah, he had a real rough time in the Cactus League last year, and he put together some really nice stretches up in the big leagues last year. I think a lot of credit, along with him, should go to Chris Bosio, and he seemed to really be one of those guys that they could kind of coach up, and he could pitch to game plans the same way Paul Maholm did last year. And you look at that Sean Marshall trade, if you get Wood and Sappelt for the next several years, as good a guy as Sean was, I think this one could pay off down the line.
There's Pagan with 2 outs. We look forward to talking with Patrick throughout the 2013 Cubs season. Our nationwide Patrick Mooney insider hit. And because it has your name on it, you got to show up.
Do I get a cut from this?
You get a nice pat on the back, Patrick.
A cardboard cutout of you if you can't make it, and we'll just you send us some talking points, and we'll just put them out there
good.
for you.
Might have to mail it in a couple of days.
Well, if you had one concern just about this club, what would it be? Mine would be, can they score enough runs? Because generally you bring back the same core offensively that you had with a couple of tweaks. I think the starters will be better on paper, and you hope to get Garza and or Baker back in a month or two. But I don't know about the offense. That's the question I have.
I think certainly over 6 months concerns about the offense. I think short term, though, if there's another injury to this pitching staff, as sharp as Chris Russin has looked this spring, I think all of a sudden you're getting into your 6th, 7th, 8th starters. I don't think they can withstand that. And as Dale said yesterday, that Garza injury really was a disappointing one because he did come into camp in such great shape. He had a lot to prove. And he could have been, a real difference maker in April, which is going to be the most important month for this team.
Well, I mean, Samardzija, Jackson, and Garza at the top. Sounds pretty good. Yep. That will get into center, and the Giants lead 5-1 as Noonan will come around. Angel Pagan with his second hit.
It's amazing how, that old cliche about you can never have too much pitching, how quickly that gets challenged, right? You thought you had all this depth in your starting rotation, a couple of injuries, and all of a sudden you're kind of maxed out.
And obviously the bullpen would have a totally different complexion if you could bounce back, say, Villanueva as your swingman, or Wood Feldman, however they would have played it out. 1 through 12, that could have been a really nice pitching staff. And
especially if you've got horses at the top of your rotation, they'll take pressure off that bullpen too. They'll pitch a lot of innings, so you don't need to lean on that pen, and that's going to be a challenge early on.
It's an impossible prediction, but will Carlos Marmol be a Cub on July 1st?
He might make it to July 1st, but August 1st, I don't think there's a chance that happens.
How about Alfonso Soriano?
I think he'll be here.
I do too. I just have a feeling. Yeah.
I think they're not looking to just get rid of him. I think they've realized the tremendous amount he brings to the clubhouse.
Runner goes, and Jesus will make the catch. And that's the inning. Pagan thought there was only one out. Patrick, thanks for the time. As always, we look forward to chatting with you as the season rolls along.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Got it.
Wednesday, it's a big-time showdown at the United Center as LeBron and the Heat pay a visit to the West Side. CSN's exclusive pregame coverage kicks off live from the concourse at 6:30. Don't miss Bulls Heat Wednesday night, 6:30 on Comcast Sports Net.
And this season, let Wrigley Field be the host of your next corporate event. Bring your best customers and guests to the friendly confines and customize your experience with everything from private receptions to on-field activities. For more information, call 773-404-4161. Email WrigleyExperience@Cubs.com or go to Cubs.com/premier. And again, tickets are available with Cubs home opener on April 8th. 121st pitch versus Milwaukee. Dave Chappelle hitting in the pitcher's spot. Leading off the Cubs' fifth. Breaking ball, strike on the outside corner. Good curve from Ryan Vogelsong. One low and outside, 1-1. Well, sad news. Word out that former big league pitcher Virgil Trucks has passed away. 95 years old. How about this? Virgil Trucks in 1952 with the Detroit Tigers threw 2 no-hitters. The team that year went 50-104. His record that year was 5-19, and he threw 2 no-hitters.
It's got to be a record of some sort, doesn't it?
I would think so.
Win 5 games, 2 of them no-hitters.
And the next year he would win 20 with the Browns and White Sox.
Two no-hitters in the same season. That has not been done very often.
According to the Detroit News, Justin Verlander, the only other Tiger to throw 2 no-hitters, but not in the same season. Nicely done. It's not Marco Scutaro, though. I only know that because I saw a big number on his back.
It's not Robbie Thompson.
Joe Hannick. Not on any of my rosters here. Oh, there he is. There's Joe. Number 6. Good old number 66.
Joe Panic? Joe Hannick?
Panic. P-A-N-I-K.
Oh, it is Panic.
Yeah.
That's not a good name. There's Corey Wade. One of those talked about with Patrick in contention for that final spot in the Cub bullpen.
There's the 0-1 to DeJesus outside.
You know, we talk about these final roster spots, whether it's a bench player, an extra man in the bullpen. It's always a fluid situation. The roster that starts the year doesn't obviously finish the season, and sometimes that turnover comes awfully quick. And then a lot of times at this stage, they already know who their guys are, but they don't want to announce it in case somebody gets hurt.
On one hop to Mr. Panic. 2 outs.
Seems pretty calm out there, despite the name.
Well, the hard part, I think, for a manager is that, let's say you've got a closer battle. Every day the media's going to ask you, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And the last thing you'd want to have happen is to change your mind and go, oh, by the way, I announced 3 days ago this is our guy, and I changed my mind.
Yeah.
And strike on Lillibridge.
Well, and the other thing, too, is if you've got non-roster guys and one guy is going to make it and 2 guys aren't, and you have to expose them to waivers to send them to the minor leagues, you really don't want to get that out there.
Right.
That, so the other clubs, instead of, maybe you're trying to move a guy, but if you're, if the club thinks, well, this guy's going to be on waivers anyway, we'll just wait and claim him.
On the warning track, Pagan with the grab. Lillibridge retired. Cubs go down in order in the 5th, trailing 5-1. Time now for our first Menards Big Lumber stat of 2013. There's Anthony Rizzo. He's wearing Cubs blue, but for Team Italy. They were the Cinderella ball club of the first round. They had a lead in every game in the tournament. Big bases clearing double in Miami, near his hometown. Menards Big Lumber stat. A couple of changes now for the Cubs. Most important of which is on the mound. That's Corey Wade in that battle for a final bullpen spot.
And it looks like it's down to Corey Wade. Zach Putnam, also a right-hander, and lefty Isunari Takahashi.
Sean Dunston Jr. now playing center. Well, it worked out well today. Sean Dunston Sr. long been in the Giants organization, and here today in Mesa they got to exchange the lineup cards.
Family ties in baseball, unlike any other sport. There's so many sons of big league fathers that end up playing in the major leagues. Bruce Bochy had his son in camp for a while with the Giants.
Brett. Yeah.
I had to release him at dinner one night or send him out. You enjoying your steak, son? Good, because you're going to minor league camp tomorrow.
Marius Lyons to third. Sean can play it cool over there, but I'm sure his insides are churning right now.
This is a nice payoff, because when you're in the game, if you stay in the game as a player, or if you're lucky enough to play long enough, you miss out on your kids in a lot of their activities in their games when they're younger. So to be able to see your kid play in a big league game, even if it's just spring training, that's kind of neat.
Two quick ones on Posey. Oh, 1 ball and 2 strikes. NL West, very intriguing division. Giants, the defending world champions. The Dodgers have spent $8 billion on their payroll. The Diamondbacks have retooled. The Padres are intriguing. Rockies coming off a bad year, but not quite sure what to make of that division yet. You got to say the Giants, just because they bring back pretty much everybody, would be on paper the favorite.
Yeah, well, the Dodgers with their injury problems. They have to have people a little bit nervous over there. Hanley Ramirez going down now. Zach Greinke's not 100%.
Carl Crawford. Yep. Wade trying to put away last year's league MVP. Just off the inside edge. And he can't put him away. Posey with a 3-hit afternoon.
It's a ho-hum day for Buster Posey. You can't afford to miss. Trying to go down and away, and that ball drifts back over the heart of the plate. About belly button high.
Bud Black announcing today Edinson Volquez will get the opening day start for the Padres on Monday against the New York Mets. Clayton Richard will follow him in the rotation.
Here's a good look at Posey sticking his nose right in there, staying on the ball.
That's high. 2-1 on Gillespie. Scott Kazmir, remember him? Well, he's back. He'll be the Indians' number 5 starter. Been almost 2 years since he last pitched in the major leagues. One start in 2011. Swing and a miss, 2-2.
Yeah, best breaking ball weight is thrown so far. Got Gillespie way out front. Scott Kazmir, when he first came into the league, looked like he was going to be a guy who would be on a number of all-star teams. Command really suffered. Then he got hurt a little bit.
High fly ball. Dunston battling the elements. Nice Cubs blue glove makes a catch. So 2 down.
And that was the kind of ball there where it was hit high enough and deep enough. It might have made more sense for Posey to go back and be in position to tag up in advance. But, you know, here in Arizona with this tough sky, you know, it makes it a tougher read because we've seen ball, you know, harmless pop-ups and fly balls not routinely dropped, but dropped every now and then. And if you're standing at second base and that ball is misplayed, you're going to score.
So Torres with 2 outs. Takes ball 1 high. By the way, the attendance today, 13,374. This is the 3rd highest attendance ever in this ballpark's history. And you have a confluence of things here. You have the Cubs and Giants, the 2 most popular teams out here, matching up. As I mentioned, spring break. So even though it's a Monday, this is one of the biggest crowds they've ever had here in this ballpark. The Cubs will be breaking some records next year in their new park.
Cubs moved here from Catalina Island. They trained for years. Good changeup.
3-2.
That would have been fun to train on the island.
Yeah. Called strike 3 to end the inning. Nice job, Corey Wade. Gives up a hit, no runs in the 6th. Cubs trail 5-1. Are you following your favorite team on social media? The Cubs offers sweepstakes, giveaways, contests, player interaction, and insider content on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Tumblr, and Google+. Follow the Cubs today to make sure you're seeing the latest updates on each platform. Great to see the Cubs' brand new traveling secretary, the great Vijay Tekandani, stopping by the booth today. Working hard. Getting ready for the 2013 season. Check out the Ho-Ho Room. I tell you, it's one of those must-see places. It's where we have lunch before every game. And they've got great photos, artifacts, baseball caps. A little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, I was reading a story here on the other day about the history of the Cubs in spring training and about the fact that they'd spent all this time on Catalina Island, and it was interesting to see pictures of the guys in steamers going across from L.A. out to the island, and about how they were wooed back to Mesa here, and the Big Ho, whatever his name was, and he got some business guys together, and they made a commitment of $22,000 to convince the Cubs to come back to Mesa, 1952 or whatever it was. So the Ho-Hos are all the ushers and the people that work the ballpark.
Yeah, they all have their...
And he was the chief Ho, that was his title.
Right. They all have the kind of maroon-colored golf shirts. And we've been taken great care of by the Ho-Ho Coms over the years. There you go, right there.
Now, is that tie he's wearing?
That's I think the logo of the Ho-Ho Coms. Yes.
I wonder if we can get our hands on one of those. Or maybe like the MVP of spring training every year should get it's kind of like a medal with that pin. Can't believe you haven't worked that out before, Len.
No, I haven't. Well, maybe we can get one for Thursday's Open. Final game here.
So that's what he's wearing. His pin is the same as that. Same design. You probably should get a tattoo of that.
That would be my first. Clevenger lines to Pagan.
Still not a bad swing. We talk about chasing balls out of the zone. That ball was up out of the zone, but that was just a floating, go ahead and take a whack at me breaking ball there. So he expanded his zone a little bit, but put a pretty good swing on it.
Vogel's song has looked to be in mid-season form today.
So they're going to go Kane, Bumgardner, Ben Lincecum.
I think Lincecum, Zito, Vogel's song, if I'm not mistaken. Although Bruce Bochy said earlier in the spring that not to make much out of the order. A lot of interchangeable parts. The biggest question mark's got to be Tim Lincecum. He pitched well out of the bullpen in the postseason, but had a terrible year in the rotation.
Well, his velocity has been coming down the last couple of years. It was way down for much of last year, and if he doesn't get his velocity back, obviously he's going to have to change his style of pitching a little bit. I mean, he relies heavily on his changeup anyway, but there's a big difference. That changeup's a lot more effective when you're able to rush it up there 94 miles an hour as opposed to 88.
2 gone. And Soriano strikes out. Well, take it with a grain of salt. It is spring training, but Lincecum's made 4 starts. He's gone 10 2/3 innings. He's given up 13 earned runs, so his ERA is basically 11 with 7 walks.
Might have to grow his hair back because he cut all his hair.
I remember, and I think it would have been 07, one of the first games of spring training, you had Barry Zito just had signed a 7-year, $126 million deal, facing Alfonso Soriano, who had signed for 8 years, $136. And I was saying how Brian Sabian and Jim Hendry were both very nervous. That much money on the tables, early spring training game, if someone got hurt. But I'm going to spare. Sorry, my microphone died on me. There's a flare out on the left. It's going to drop down for Nate Scherholz, and he will end up at second with a double. It's interesting how the career arc for both guys has gone, and it's really come full circle. Both guys becoming very valuable members of their teams once again. But for a while, they looked like bad contracts. But in the end, Barry Zito, big part of 2 World Series teams. So Navarro here with 2 outs. And now JD's mic's not working. We'll get it figured out. We'll get it sorted out.
Is that working?
That's working. We got the stick mic. Yeah, we got it working. Navarro deep to right. Torres back, and it will go. A 2-run homer. And the Cubs RBI leader here in Arizona just added a couple to his ledger. 14 knocked in. And the Cubs are within 2.
After 2 quick outs, double home run, Navarro's 4th of the spring. And 3rd time through the order, getting their 3rd look at Vogelsong. Good things starting to happen.
So the Cubs go deep for the 45th time this spring. Ball 1 to Valbuena. All that happening after 2 are out. Scherholz with the bloop double, and then Navarro yanking that home run to right. Now 1-2. That one got away from Vogelsong. This might be it for him, as there is action up in the Giants' pen.
Well, he, like Wood, will have one more spring training outing prior to his first regular season start. And a lot of times this is the one, the second to last one of the spring, where you really want to push it, get fully extended in terms of the pitch count, and then if you want, you can back off a little bit, just to make sure that you're strong for that opening start.
Three and 2.
George Contos up in the Giants bullpen. Valbuena drew a walk last time, laid off a 3-2 breaking ball. He runs the count here full again.
Having a real tough time laying off that high pitch.
Yeah, but I think his at bat last time, his ability to lay off that 3-2 breaking ball bought him that fastball right there from Vogelsong. He showed in his previous at bat that he wouldn't chase. the 3-2 off speed pitch, and got a little bit better pitch to hack at there, just a little bit up.
That one hit very hard, but foul. How about Matt Cain and Clayton Kershaw on April 1st? Giants and Dodgers on opening day. We'll have
over-under of 4 runs in that ball game.
If that, yeah. We'll have Jeff Samardzija and A.J. Burnett from Pittsburgh. Ball 4. Here comes Dave Righetti, longtime Giants pitching coach.
Valbuena, who drew the walk last time, talked about him laying off the off-speed pitch, buying himself a fastball, and then the way he turned on that previous heater, he whacked it foul, but I think that caused the off-speed pitch there on 3-2, and Valbuena didn't chase. So the last 2 times up, good solid at-bats.
So the tying run now at the plate in Alberto Gonzalez.
Second baseman, Alberto Gonzalez.
We will see the Giants on the Cubs' first homestand. It'll be at Wrigley Field April 11th through the 14th. 4-game series. I didn't mean to. And it will be handled by Panic to end the inning. Deanna Navarro with a long 2-run homer, his 4th of the spring. Cubs back in it, down only 2 after 6. And don't miss the exciting opportunity to go behind the scenes of the legendary home of the Cubs with Wrigley Field tours. Guided tours include visits to the press box, clubhouses, dugouts, as well as a chance to actually step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses almost 100 years of history. Wrigley Field tours are offered on both game days and non-game days. So go to Cubs.com/tours to book yours today. Navarro's home run. The Cubs are within a pair as the Giants bat here in the 7th. Corey Wade still working. And a base hit for Todd Linden. He's now 1 for 3 with a sac fly.
Noonan.
Last time the Cubs played the Pirates on opening day in Pittsburgh was 1978. It was 69 lovely degrees.
Well, we'll take that.
1 hour and 52 minute, 1-0 win for the Pirates. John Candelaria besting Rick Russell.
I'm guessing the powder blue with white pinstripes, right, for the Cubs. And the Pirates, who knows what they were wearing.
I don't know if they were wearing those train engineer hats or what they had going on.
Noonan yanks it foul.
Noonan is having a day.
Well, I guess good news and bad news for Jason Giambi, the 42-year-old slugger who interviewed with the Rockies for their managerial opening before joining the Indians as a player, non-roster invitee. So he had his contract selected, but he was also placed on the DL. That's going to land fair and bounce out of play. It's a double for Noonan. So the Giants in business, second and third, nobody out.
He hit the ball hard, foul down the right side, and was not rewarded for it. Here's just a little flare. He pushed it down the left field. This ball carried well, though. I was surprised it carried as well as it did, even here in Arizona. You see that ball kind of beats him. He's a little late on it. Kind of hits it down off the end of the bat. Carried a good long ways.
Francisco Peguero will hit for Ryan Vogelsong. So Giambi with a lower back strain will start the year on the DL. Technically made the Indians opening day roster. So he interviewed for the Rockies job that ultimately went to Walt Weiss, and I guess the Rockies were interested in Giambi being their hitting coach. And Jason just felt like it would be awkward for Walt Weiss if he joined the staff, considering he had interviewed for that managerial job. So in the end, he decided, I think I'm going to continue to try to play.
Why not?
I think he will manage at some point. I've never been around Giambi much, but he really has repaired his reputation after all the steroid accusations. And he'll still give you a good at bat.
He's the ultimate money ball player, isn't he? Very patient, draws a lot of walks, hits it out of the ballpark. Not much else.
Three and one on the pinch hitter Peguero. Cubs just got back into it with a 2-run homer, but now the Giants 2 in scoring position and no outs, and make it bases loaded with no outs.
Number 16, center fielder Angel Pagan.
Sometimes these spring training games get out of hand because the guys are out there to get a certain amount of work in, regardless of how they're performing. So managers, going to let a guy stay out there a little bit longer in a late game situation because he needs to get work in, as opposed to a regular season where he's just trying to win a ball game.
This will go 4-6, and that's it. Pagan runs well, and he'll get an RBI out of it on the fielder's choice. It's now 6-3 as Linden scores.
He does run well, but off the bat, that looked like a routine double play ball, but fairly slow developing there.
Second baseman, number 66,
Gonzalez could have been a little more aggressive charging that ball, and the flip didn't have a lot on it either.
Panik takes ball 1 outside. Joe Panik.
Sounds like a nickname you'd pin on somebody, right? If you had a buddy that was anxious all the time, he's Joe Panik. Just the opposite of Joe Cool.
Well, I'm sure our good friend Bob Walk took a lot of ribbing in his career as a pitcher. You've got Homer Bailey in Cincinnati. Grant Balfour, really Balfour, but let's see if they can turn this one. No, they can't even get it out. Normally very sure-handed Brent Lillibridge let one get away, and the Giants now lead 7-3. Well, the Cubs had been playing excellent defense, as we mentioned, but today not one of those days.
You get the sense there that Brent may be just trying to make amends for their inability to turn the double play in the previous chance, really in a hurry, and then spiked this throw. Well, the old adage is first guy sure, second guy quick, but sometimes it's easier said than done, and you get in a hurry trying to make something happen.
So an RBI fielder's choice for Panik, and the error on Lillibridge as Arias swings and misses. Infield in. Not going to matter. Deep to left. Off the wall. And the Giants will get 2 more. A 2-run double by Joaquin Arias. And they busted it open.
Joaquin Arias has been on every pitch he's seen today. He's hammering the baseball. This one's up in his eyes, and he just unloads. Couple of knocks earlier, lined out last time up. Now this double off the wall, just misses hitting it out of the ballpark.
So Bosio back out to talk to his pitcher. It doesn't get any easier. Here's Posey, who's already got 3 hits.
Yeah, and we talk a lot in spring training about, and I think some fans have the idea that spring training is like an open tryout. Whoever performs the best makes the club. And that's not the case. It's more about what roster spots are open, and managers and general managers tend to look more at the entire body of work of a player and what they think he could do, as opposed to how he performs in the spring. But sometimes it does come down to performance when you've got a kind of a mixed bag. You got 2 guys that are kind of on a parallel course, and sometimes it does come down to, well, whichever guy performs the best this spring, he's going to get the job. I'm not sure that's the case with this bullpen spot. If it is, Corey Wade is not helping his cause here this afternoon.
A scoreless 6th, but 4 runs in here in the 7th. An error hasn't helped. There's Sean Camp getting loose in the Cubs bullpen. And a ball and 2 strikes to Posey. Wade has a sign from his catcher Navarro, and the pitch, all of a sudden he's gone full 3-2 after an 0-2 start. chopper back to the mound. It's the second out as Arias advances to third. And now Cole Gillespie, who's walked twice, doubled, and scored. He's 1 for 2.
Cubs down 6, but anything can happen. Just ask Florida Gulf Coast College. Followed that storyline at all?
Unbelievable.
Isn't that crazy?
Casey Coleman and Chris Sale played baseball at FGSU.
I had never heard of that school.
FGCU.
I had never heard of that school until this tournament.
Talking to somebody yesterday who'd never heard of Florida Gulf Coast University, I said, interestingly enough, it's in upstate New York. And they believed me.
It's a satellite campus.
Well, that's the great thing about March Madness. You never know. Just get in the tournament. And since you brought it up as the inning ends, I noticed Marquette University is in the Sweet 16 as well.
Congratulations.
Go Blue. 9-3. Thursday, it's your chance, your last chance to see the 2013 Cubs live from Mesa. Join us right here on Comcast Sportsnet as the Cubs and Mariners square off in a spring training showdown. Cubs Mariners Thursday at 2 on Comcast Sportsnet. Got that, JD? Got to wake up an hour earlier on Thursday.
Yeah, I can make that happen. Make that adjustment.
Huge crowd here in Mesa.
That guy's still here. He's not going anywhere.
A new pitcher for the Giants, Lincolnwood, Illinois native, George Cantos, under the radar acquisition in April of last year from the Yankees and became a pretty big part of their bullpen.
And the spring 1-0 with a 3.75 ERA. It's 44 times for the Giants last season.
And Sean Dunston Jr. fouls at the plate. They want a souvenir.
Get a knock.
Deep to center. Andres Torres now playing center, and he's got it right at the edge of the warning track for the out. Juan Siriaco's now playing third. There's Juan. And here's Scott Hairston. Batting for DeJesus, or at least in his spot, as that's going to get into the corner in left. And it's a double for Scott Hairston. Actually, he's hitting in the pitcher's spot.
Comes off that bench ready to swing the bat, jumps on the first good one he sees, and it pays off. A solid double into the left field corner for Hairston. Proved to be a valuable guy for Dale Swaim this year as a part-time player and dangerous pinch hitter. 20 bombs last year for the Mets, and he's really been good against left-handed pitching in his career.
Now Lillibridge 0 for 3. And has committed 2 errors on defense. That's not typically what you'll see from Brent Lillibridge. The other part of it, not that it has anything to do with today necessarily, is not going to play a lot of short. Starlin Castro last year played all 162.
Yeah, if you're a veteran player looking to extend your career and you're looking for at-bats, don't sign on to be the backup shortstop for the Cubs. You better be able to play a few different positions, because there's not going to be many opportunities there, barring an injury.
Yeah, I would say first base and shortstop are pretty much set every day. Now, for years and years, I mean, really every year since I've been here, the topic of where guys are going to hit in the lineup always seemed to be at the forefront. It hasn't really been this spring. A tapper that Posey will let roll foul. Nicely done. He realized he was not going to really have a play on Lillibridge. I'm not sure if that ball ever was fair, but when he picked it up, it was foul.
Yeah, just a little tapper out in front of home plate, and it's good recognition here by Posey. Finds where he is on the field, where the ball is coming down, and at the last able to pull his mitt out of the way. Yeah, well, there's 2 things in baseball I think get overplayed. One, rotation. You know, who pitches where in the rotation, and batting order. I mean, ideally, you like to have a bunch of high on-base guys in front of a bunch of sluggers, right? Get a bunch of guys on base and let people drive them in. But the bottom line is, if you have enough good hitters, you're going to score enough runs.
Yeah. And a swing and a miss for strike 3, 2 outs. Well, what has made the controversy kind of go away is, number one, you've got a bona fide leadoff guy. You know, for years it was, is Soriano going to lead off or not? Well, now you know it's DeJesus. You got your number 3 hitter in Anthony Rizzo. You got your cleanup guy Soriano. Castro fits nicely in the 2 spot for now. And really, you've got good righty-lefty balance throughout the order. Now, Dale writes out the lineup, but in a lot of ways, JD, I think this lineup kind of wrote itself.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of, you know, and he'll play with a little bit probably against lefties. He may move things around a little bit depending on who's on the mound for the opposition. I think this, you know, where some pressure is going to fall in this lineup is in that 5-hole. Typically, that's a run-producing spot in the batting order. Opening day it'll be Nate Shearholz, a guy who does not have a track record of being a real run producer at the big league level. So there's going to be some extra pressure there. If Barney had more of an on-base presence, you could hit him in the 2-hole, and you could go Castro 3, Soriano 4, or Rizzo 4, Rizzo 4, Soriano 5, and back it off that way. But you don't you don't have that other high on-base presence guy to put at the top of the order behind DeJesus. Castro is capable because he hits for such a high average. Even if he doesn't draw a lot of walks, he should have a pretty decent on-base percentage. And what any manager will do is he'll just let it play out, watch it play for a while, and then adjust if he needs to.
Yep.
If he feels like they're not scoring enough runs and Castro's driving the ball, he says, all right, let's put Castro down into more of an RBI position.
Smothered by Linden. Contos covering, inning over. We go to the 8th. Still 9-3 Giants. Back for its second season is Cubs Authentics, the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia. From game-used baseballs, bases, and jerseys to autographed bats and photos, Cubs Authentics has the most exclusive Cubs memorabilia. Visit the Wrigley Field Concourse, the Cubs store across from Wrigley Field, or Cubs.com/authentics for all your Cubs memorabilia needs. Here's Sean Camp pitching the 8th inning with the Cubs trailing 9-3. Tied for the major league lead with 80 appearances last year.
Camp, a veteran who's been around a good long while. Proved to be very durable, very valuable last year for Dale Swaim, and so far so good this spring.
J.C. Boscan now catching. He works to Andres Torres. First pitch swinging, grounded foul.
Torres was a track man in high school. Ran the 100 meters and the 200 meters. 10.37 in the 100 meters. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. It's been well publicized. He has overcome ADHD. In fact, there's a film about that battle called Gigante, and he knew he had ADHD as far back as 2002, but it wasn't until 5 years later that he really tackled the condition head on, and ultimately it saved his career. Slider was up, but Torres couldn't get it. not really where camp wanted it, but it worked.
At camp primarily sinker slider and mix in some change-ups. And normally you don't want to throw a slider right there, but the off-speed nature of it fooled him a little bit.
First opportunity to use this great line was so bad it was good.
Just
That's
where
a good
I wanted it.
Great to have our producer John Walsh with us today. Director Jim Angio. Chris Kamka, our associate producer. 0-2 the count. Cubs baseball here on Comcast Sportsnet. We look forward to a great season. Our first regular season telecast will be from Pittsburgh on Wednesday, April 3rd. Game 2 of the season. Called strike 3.
One swinging, one looking. Camp off to a great start here as he works the top half of the 8th.
Number 64. Nick Newman.
Foul strike on Nick Noonan. Going back to how busy a week this is around baseball and how a lot of teams like to kind of hold their cards close to the vest. There are some cases when teams, as a courtesy to a player who they know won't make their roster, they'll maybe release them a day or two before they have to, just to give that guy an opportunity to hook on with somebody else. I see Rod Barajas released by the Diamondbacks.
And we saw Chris Snyder here the other day, the backup catcher in an exhibition game. He had been in camp with the Nationals, and a lot of times they'll do it as a courtesy of a player will just ask, hey, you know, have you made up your mind on me, or you know, and other times they'll have an out clause if I'm not on the roster by such and such a date, you have to let me go.
Called strike 3, so Camp rings up the side in the 8th. Follow the Chicago Cubs this spring and all season long with MLB.com at bat for your iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, and Android devices. At Bat delivers spring training wherever you are with scores, stats, searchable video, live audio, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Cubs.com for details. It's Javier Herrera Now playing center field, another Javier Lopez on the mound, left-handed.
Lopez, 35 years of age, a veteran left-hander. Been hit pretty hard this spring. 12 hits allowed in 5 1/3 innings of work. He's one of those guys we were talking about the other day, a loogie, a lefty only one out guy. Typically comes in to face a left-handed batter or two to get out of a jam. Last year he worked 70 times and pitched a grand total of 36 innings. And you can see with that drop-down approach that he would be tough on left-handed hitters. They've hit just .219 against him throughout his major league career. This includes stops in Colorado, Arizona, Boston, Pittsburgh. Last 2+ here with the Giants.
Sharply hit ground ball. Siriaco up with it. I think Lopez still gets autograph requests. And then he gets handed the card of Javi Lopez.
Yeah. Probably.
Former catcher.
19, Nate Sherholtz.
JD, we want to give a shout out to a 100-year-old Cub fan, Francis Watson of Worth, Illinois. Hope you're doing well today, Francis.
Happy birthday, Francis.
Can't we just chat?
One 1-0 on Sherholtz. So how are you packing for this first road trip? We'll be in Pittsburgh and then Atlanta.
So twisted up in knots over it because I got my desert wardrobe here, and we're going home for Pittsburgh for 2 days, and I have to put something together for the start of the season.
It's a little tricky.
I'm a little stressed.
It's off the outside. 2-1.
What's going on? Somebody got smoke down there?
Oh, it looked like the chair took the worst of it. And 2 down. And that is Noonan playing short now.
Oh, you see he shifted over towards second base with Sherholtz up there, and because of that has just a step and a half, handles that convenient hop and gets his man.
Well, as I look ahead, it's like a high in the mid-40s with a pretty decent chance of rain on Monday in Pittsburgh. Might get up into the 50s by the end of that series. Should be nice in Atlanta.
We'd be all right. Francis shares a birthday with Elton John. He's 66 today.
Reg Dwight is 66. Okay. Paul Scott swings and misses. 0-2.
Tom Glavine's 47 today.
Was that his uniform number?
I think it was.
A little flinch by Ted Barrett. Well, Scott gets at least one more shot here. 2-2. Now full 3-2. Valbuena would hit next. walked him. Lopez did not get that borderline call and eventually walks Boscan. Tom Haudricourt from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. We talked to him the other day. He has tweeted Kyle Loesch has passed his physical and the deal with the Brewers is official. I'm sure some relief for Kyle Loesch, coming off such a great year, but had to wait until March 25th to sign a new deal. Well, how many pitches has Valbuena seen today?
Yeah, he's doing a nice job.
That's a strike.
Yeah, that's 2-1. You're looking to be aggressive, but you don't want to chase a pitcher's pitch, and that one was right down at the bottom of the knees.
Lopez ready for a 2-2. It's outside and it's now full. Valbuena, who's already walked twice.
Yeah, it's the third consecutive at bat where he's run the count full.
Boscan takes off, and this time he can't get the breaking ball, and that'll end the inning. We go to the ninth, still 9-3 Giants.
Last inning, Sean Camp did it about as well as you can do it. Punched out the side, got a swing through on a slider. A little backdoor slider for called strike 3. And then Noonan, who's had a nice day, got a little sinker knee high. And he couldn't do anything with it. So 3 up, 3 down, 3 punch outs for Camp.
Yasiel Balagert in left. A very intriguing guy, JD. Hector Rondon.
Hector Rondon, Rule 5 draft pick of the Cubs, has come in and impressed his new bosses. Good numbers, 2-0, 257. He's appeared in 8 ball games. He's walked but 1 in 7 innings of work, punched out 5. And he's going to be a big leaguer.
He's on the roster. So Peguero, who walked in the 7th, will lead it off for San Francisco. And we will see the Giants again in a few weeks at Wrigley Field.
Rondon, the second overall pick in the Rule 5 draft this past winter. One time he was among the top prospects for the Cleveland Indians. He's had some arm problems. But he's just 24 years of age and is healthy. Was throwing the ball hard in winter ball, and the Cubs look like they found a pretty nice piece.
That's the slider. That is the pitch, and look out, the bat went flying.
Yeah, if you hear people talk about sliders with depth or tilt, it's a great example right there as Rondon comes right over the top of that bottle. Great downward action. Watch the movement. Now you see it, now you don't.
So 2 strikes to Peguero.
I don't know, but it's a scary thought.
I would imagine Dale will look for that soft landing for Hector Rondon. Probably won't see him in high leverage spots early on. Swing and a miss. But you also don't want a guy to sit for 7 or 8 days without pitching.
Yeah, I think there's 2 schools of thought for a young guy when you first bring him to the big leagues. Once you get rolling, exactly that. Find that soft spot, 7-1 ball game, middle innings, come in, get a couple outs, or start an inning fresh. The other one is just the opposite, which says, hey, throw him into the fire, see how he responds.
Right down the middle on Siriaco. Now, certainly a much more polished pitcher than Lendy Castillo, the Cubs Rule 5 pitcher last year. And he's still learning how to pitch. There's a strike called, 0-2.
Yeah, Rondon had already progressed quite a ways through the Indians organization before he got hurt. He pitched in AAA in 2009 and again a little bit in 2010.
Chris Bosio, the Cubs' second-year pitching coach, coming off double knee replacement surgery. That sounds like a fun offseason.
I guess we have a Sonic guy.
He went with let's do it both at the same time philosophy.
Well. Yeah. Don't know if it was a 2-for-1 per se, but if you watched him walk to the mound last year, you knew he was ready. Panic cues this one to third, and that'll be a hit.
Looks like a line drive tomorrow, Joe.
Well, you can't teach that.
Yeah, no, that's a special skill. Just a little gyro ball.
Only no chance for Valbuena. And now Javier Herrera. Are you even writing in these new names?
No,
I'm quite as busy over there.
No,
as you were
I just
before.
got to give up on my scorecard. I was putting giant at bats down in Cub spots. Just a mess.
Yeah, that's what it looks like in the Giant dugout.
How often you get on the dugout?
In a strange way, it's almost more difficult to keep track when you don't replace everybody. At least early in spring training, after about the 5th inning, you just have a new lineup. All the position players change, and then that's it for the rest of the day. But they've kind of trickled in here today. A lot of guys will be in there for 2 innings before I even realize it.
Yeah, well, you get the feel like a Sandlot game. You know, who wants to play third today? Let's go. Just guys running all over the place.
That guy probably would love to play third. Big swing and a miss, 2-2. This near record crowd here at Ho-Ho-Com has thinned a bit as we get into the late afternoon hours.
A long game, and I think the exposure to the sun has chased a few people off the berm, because that was packed earlier in the day. The guy's looking kind of pink. Be afraid to mix in a little suntan lotion.
Wouldn't want to be that guy tonight. Ow, 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 ow.
See if he breaks out that. No, he's going back fastball away.
Missed up. 3-2.
Tried to overpower it on Corca, his best heater, and typically when you do that, you lose command. Sometimes you see that when a pitcher doesn't really want to make that pitch. I mean, he might have been thinking slider. His catcher called for a fastball, so he maybe didn't trust it, tried to overthrow it.
Runner goes on the 3-2, and a ball bounced to Valbuena. Strong throw to Clevenger, inning over. Last chance for the Cubs. They trail by 6 in the 9th. It's time to play ball. Get to Wrigley Field this season to see the Chicago Cubs in action. Single game tickets are available for the 2013 season, including opening day. So get your tickets now for the season's hottest games. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com, call 1-800-THE-CUBS, or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Again, there are still seats available for April 8th, the home opener against Milwaukee. And here's the Giants closer, Sergio Romo. 6-run lead for him today.
Strike throwing machine is Sergio Romo. You want to know the 338 so far this spring. Last year in 55 1/3 innings, he punched out 63, walked only 10. Previous year, he walked 5 men in 48 innings while striking out 70.
Yeah, how about the old 14-1 strikeout to walk ratio? Not bad. As he faces Alberto Gonzalez, and a strike. That year you referred to, 2011, Romo at one point retired 31 consecutive batters over a 15-game stretch. He basically had a perfect month.
You know, all you have to do is call him up and get another one. You can just call him up.
That's the other thing about last year's team. You know, they lose their closer, Brian Wilson, to Tommy John surgery, and the bullpen definitely picked up the slack. On the ground to third, Siriaco for out number 1.
Right, and that's why sometimes, well, not sometimes, but I think the whole notion of the closer can be overrated. It's more about having a talented bullpen, having multiple options. One guy goes down, somebody else can step in and do the job, or a guy that's normally an 8th inning guy could slide into that 9th inning spot easily enough. We see it over and over again. Mariano Rivera, when he went down, it was, oh no, what are the Yankees going to do? They worked out okay.
And Rafael Soriano saved over 40.
Yeah. Now, would you rather also have Rivera? Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the best ever. But it's about having multiple options. Always got to have a plan B.
Slider strike. 0-2 to Sean Dunston Jr.
I do.
Back with you Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock Chicago time. Cubs and Mariners. And the Cubs' final game here at Ho-Ho-Com.
Behave, Mary Jo.
Sean was the 11th round pick of the Cubs in the 2011 draft. Has 1 season of professional ball under his belt. Last year at Mesa and then Boise. Class A levels. Combined to hit .257.
Kid spring training.
Stays alive, still 2-2. Romo ready. Just foul.
Man, that was an impressive swing of the bat. He was really quick. So get out of my kitchen.
Again, it may seem like a meaningless plate appearance, 9th inning spring training game, but Sean Dunston Jr. facing Sergio Romo with Buster Posey calling pitches behind the plate. And he's worked it full, 3-2.
Keyhole a little bit. Took a real nice swing when he had a chance at a pitch on the inner half.
Toward left and through for a base hit. And you very rarely ever see this. Guys in the opposing dugout clapping. Well, not just guys. It's his dad.
Took that little running fastball and went the other way with it. There we go. That's my kid.
Wellington Castillo, the ground ball to third. 5-4-3 to end it. First double play of the game ends the contest. So the Giants beat the Cubs today 9-3 the final as the Cubs snap their 4-game winning streak. And our GMC professional grade player of the game, Deanna Navarro. Not much offense for the Cubs today, but he supplied 2/3 of it with that swing.
Yeah, his 4th home run of the spring. He leads the club with RBIs. He now has 14. And as Len mentioned, not a lot of good things going the way of the Cubs this afternoon, but a nice swing of the bat there by Deanna Navarro.
So for JD and our entire CSN crew here in Arizona, Len Casper saying so long from Ho-Ho-Com Park in Mesa. We're back with you Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Time, as the Cubs play their final Cactus League game against the Seattle Mariners.